with so many messages about how we need to be, who we need to present to be, what we need to act like, what we need to look like. How we...
Truth be told, I really didn't want a man in ministry.
Here we go.
You know, people think because he was a pastor and I was in ministry that we were like talking about the Bible and having Bible study. We were not. You know? He did this song for me, and in this song, the lyrics, he told me he was falling in love with me.
Come on, Bishop. Hold on. Let's pause here, because
puts his arm through the passenger seat where my mother was sitting.
Or marriage, because a lot of these girls want to be preachers' wives. They keep saying that they don't, but they do. Okay.
You are choosing violence.
I could be so good to you. I could be so good to you. I could be so good to you. I could be so good to you.
What's up, besties? It's your girl, Sheridan S. Davis, and welcome to my podcast, Good Girl, Rich Life. I am honored to have you all here. This podcast is intended for the girls who were raised like me, the church girls, and all who desire to peek into our world. I call all of my subscribers my besties. So all you have to do to become a bestie is simply subscribe to my YouTube channel and or follow my podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Today, we are having a conversation with a woman who is going viral for talking about the kinds of friendships ladies like us need.
Friends are good, but it's even better when your friends are intercessors. I need people around me that know how to reach God. I just don't need a squad that looks good. I need a squad that can get a prayer through. I just don't need a squad that got millions, but I need a squad, hallelujah, that will turn their plate down and fast on behalf of my situation. I need some friends, hallelujah, that know how to call my name out in prayer. Hallelujah. Even if I don't tell them what's going on, even if I don't disclose all the details, they're so connected in the spirit. They're picking up my infirmity and calling my name out in prayer. I need you to shout, Lord, help me to hold on to my friends.
She is being heralded as an awesome speaker, a general and pontificator of the word of God, and we lived it, okay? She is both degreed and daring. She's an author, inspiration to many, and any room she walks into, she owns it. She is the founder of Ash Enterprises, providing consultations and empowerment services for ministry and marketplace, which is services I will soon be utilizing. She is the assistant pastor of the Powerhouse Chicago, where she serves with her husband, the Bishop William Hudson III, and the First Lady of Pilgrim Assemblies. But outside of all the things she does, for me, is who she is. She is kind, generous, and in an age where many people with collars are embarrassing, in my opinion, she represents God well. And that is why we have her on the pod today. So let's bring to the pulpit Pastor Andria Stennis-Hudson. Hey, Pastor Andria.
Hey, besties out there.
How are you?
I am doing good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for being here. We know you are a very busy woman, but I just want to know, how are you? How's your spirit? How things going?
Well, you know, it's Monday. Mondays be mundane.
Yes.
I had a staff call this morning that I just finished maybe 10 to 15 minutes ago.
Okay.
I have Zooms today. I have some time to write today. I have content creation today. And then I have to do a word of the day for a radio broadcast this afternoon.
Okay.
Plus go home, cook dinner, and all that stuff. So
we busy. And we're happy to have you here in the midst of that.
We know how it goes. We know how it goes.
That's right. That's right. Well, I wanted you here to discuss this topic. This topic is called His Help and His Mate. I wanted you to discuss this topic because you and your husband, you know what, y'all kind of remind me in this same way of my mom and dad, and also your mom and dad. Yeah. You guys present partnership very well, but I don't just see you as his wife. And what does it mean to you to be a helpmate or a helpmeet? I'm asking because not every husband I'm finding out needs the same things. And I think some of us in church are done a disservice because we as singles are being inundated with so many messages about how we need to be, who we need to present to be, what we need to act like, what we need to look like, how we need to speak before we get married. But people get married and these days and 3 weeks later, they are having conferences and bashing singles about why we alone and all the things. So to you, what is a helpmate?
This is really, really good. And thank you again for the invitation to just share. I don't take it lightly. I really do not take it lightly whenever someone feels that I can bring some light into some value to any subject. I really am honored. I am in full agreement with everything that you just said. I'm grateful that I'm very fortunate that I come from a product of a two-parent household. They have been married 48 years. They are still very much in love with one another. For those that know my parents, know that it's and have even watched my parents from afar for any length of time, know that what they portray is very much real and authentic. And I know that because I am a first seat witness, being their oldest child, and I know who they are in public is who they are behind closed doors. That was very important to me as a single woman, you know, waiting on God to connect me with the mate that he would have for my life. I grew up in church, as you have grown up in church, and we have been exposed to a lot. We've been exposed to the real. We've been exposed to the fake. We've been exposed to the suspicious.
Right. That's the one.
And so it was, very befitting that what I desired as far as in a mate would resemble to what I was exposed to in my home. And so not just marriage, but partnership. Partnership in ministry, partnership in the home, partnership in business, partnership in goals, in accomplishments. That was like almost a deal breaker to me. You know, I had a list of things, physical appearance wise and all of that stuff, money and all of that. You know how we have these lists. But I would say that one of the top deal breakers for me was that they had to be a partner with me. They had to not just ministry, because truth be told, I really didn't want a man in ministry.
Here we go. Tell the truth.
And I especially really did not want a pastor. And God had to take my will and mold it and craft it and get me to say yes to something that I initially did not want. So years later now, we've been married. My husband and I have been married 20 years. We celebrated 20 years 2 weeks ago. And I can honestly say it has not been a perfect marriage. No marriage is perfect. But what has kept us and what is sustaining us is the fact that we have a common goal between the two of us. And that is that we have to be partners. Support is absolutely vital for our marriage. Me supporting him in what God is calling him to do and who he has to become for the will of God, and him supporting me in what God has called me to do and who he has allowing me to become for his will. And so while we are very much the same in some aspects, we are very much different.
Yeah. But I think that's what makes the puzzle piece come together. And we're going to talk about this more, not really wanting to marry a pastor. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So let me ask you this, because we talked about the list and I have a little baby list. What was your life like before you got married? I know you're a church girl and all the things.
Yeah.
But did you enjoy your singleness? Because I tiptoe in and out. I have moments where I'm like, this is lit. And I have moments like, okay, God, what time? So what was your singlehood like?
Honestly, as a single woman, especially a single woman in church, you're going to vacillate between the two. There's never going to be just like where you're like, yay, I'm waiting on God. Because you're still a part of the world. You're still a part of culture, and you're going to vacillate between like, okay, God, when you coming? When he coming?
Mhm.
Or the fear of, will I be alone for the rest of my life? You're going to fight that. You're going to have those mental images. You're going to have those suggestions like, what if he does not come? You're going to go through all of that. And then there are going to be times where you're going to be like, I don't want the drama. I'm good.
Preach.
I went through all of those emotions. There were some days and years where I was just focused on school and, focused on, I was working full time and going to school full time on, working on my bachelor's. And at that time I was just, focusing on that as well as, being very active in ministry. One of the things I can say is that when I was single, I kept myself busy. I kept myself busy, whether it was work and matriculating in corporate America or going to school or being very active in ministry. I made sure that I did not have a lot of idle time.
Yeah.
And so, so when, I would date, and it wasn't, very often, but when I would date, it would be an additive and not just something that I had to do. And
That's
so,
good.
yeah, for some women, especially in the culture that we live in now, because of all of these images from social media, it's like, I got to be in a relationship. I was not like that. It was like, if it came and somebody wanted to take me out to dinner, somebody wanted to take me out to bowling or something like that, it was like, okay, cool, let's just hang out. It wasn't something that I just had to have in my life. So yeah, there were, some holidays where I wish I could have had somebody on my arm at the Christmas party. There was some, Valentine's Day that I would, would like be like,
That's
okay,
the one.
this is for the birds,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then there were times where I was very content in my singleness. And I honestly think there's absolutely nothing wrong with vacillating between the two. You're
I
human.
love that
You're
because
human.
yes, I don't think I was fully prepared. No, I ain't gonna say I don't think I was not prepared. Okay, to be 33 and unmarried, but I don't think anyone talked really about the going between the two. It was either I hate men, I don't want to be married, all y'all suck, or God, when is he gonna come? When is he gonna come? When is he gonna come? So then now one day it's y'all really are terrible, and then the other day, but also I want to be married. So so it goes back and forth, and I'm glad that you talked about that. When did you decide, all right, I think I'm gonna marry him? Because I think we as people of God, I don't want to say we spiritualize marriage because it is spiritual, but we make it so spiritual that it's like we don't have a choice. No, I do get to choose as well. You know what I mean? So when did you decide, you know what? I'm more than like you. I think I'm going to go ahead and spend my life with you.
It took, and I'm gonna be very, very honest.
Okay.
And because I know you personally, I know you will appreciate the honesty.
Yes.
Okay. We've been on platforms together, so this is how we talk. We talk real. Okay.
Yeah.
And honestly, in the culture of church, especially Black church, we do over spiritualize when it comes to dating and marriage, and that's a whole nother subject. But so when my husband at that time, when we were dating, we were courting, I really did love his company. He is very comical. Even when he does not try to be, he's very, very blunt. And that took some time for me because it was like, did you just say that? He was just, rolls off his tongue, his candidness and how blunt he is. But over time, I really, really did enjoy his company. We were not talking about God all the time. We were getting to know
that part again. Oh
because,
my God.
Yeah, because people think because he was a pastor and I was in ministry that we were like talking about the Bible and having Bible study. We were not.
Amen.
We were not doing that. We were really getting to know one another and enjoying one another's company and creating a safe space for the both of us. I thought it was really important to be that safe space for him as a friend when we were courting because he was a single pastor. And so his life has always been ministry. So when we would go out, I would be very intentional that we would not talk about church. then we would not talk about ministry, because I wanted him to feel very comfortable and safe with me, and vice versa. So I'll never forget this. I don't think I've ever really shared this publicly.
Come on, exclusive.
But we were, like I said, we were dating and courting, and we did not miss an evening where we did not talk. We always talk every day, even when we could not physically see each other because of our schedules and everything. We made sure we would talk on the phone every single day. And so I remember he, before we had gotten off the phone for one evening, he said, I'm going to call you back in a little bit, but I don't want you to pick up. I want to leave a voicemail for you. And I was like, what? I was like, okay. He said, don't pick up. Let me leave this voicemail. And I'm thinking like, what is he talking about? So he did, it was like an hour later, he called and he left this voicemail. On the voicemail, he sung me a song that he created. Now, you all know my husband is the creator of songs like nobody's business. This man will create a song on the spot, especially like worship and everything. He created this song for me. And in this song, the lyrics, he told me he was falling in love with me. And I was like,
come on, Bishop. Hold on. Let's pause here, because the saints today, they ain't got no game. Come on, Bishop. Teach the man of God. Okay? Don't leave a voicemails like this. Teach them. Okay, go ahead.
Now the funny part, and I'm going to be, because we're real.
Yes, absolutely.
I thought it was the most sweetest gesture any man had done for me. And I listened to it several times. But at that particular moment, I did not feel the same way.
Oh, that's good.
I knew that I enjoyed his company, and I knew that I liked him a lot, but the whole love part, I didn't think I was there yet.
Okay.
So I was like, what do I say back? Like, this man just bore his soul to me. And like, what do I say back to him? And so I honestly, I was like, Lord, like, what do I tell him? I don't want to lie to him.
Yeah.
This man can see through a wall. He'll know that I'm lying to him.
That part.
And so we had the conversation. I was like, this was the most sweetest thing you could have ever done for me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I said, I don't know if I'm there yet. I said, but I do know that I will be very, very soon. And that's
Come on, response from a visitor. Y'all, write this down, because that is good. Because we are not honest, a lot of us.
No.
Like, it'll be like, oh, I love you too. Lord, forgive me.
No. Yes. Yes. And sometimes, because you want to be in love so bad, you will prematurely say things that you know you're not feeling, but because you want love so bad. And that's happening with a lot of individuals. I think a lot of our young couples, they want love so bad that they are not honestly, emotionally and mentally there, but because they want the image of love so bad, they're moving so quickly with things, with their relationship. And it has to be real. It has to be authentic. It can't be made up. It can't be just an image of what you're in love with. Love can be very complicated. That's and so if you don't have the actual roots in love, when challenges come, and and even when we were dating, we had disagreements. We had, total points of view regarding, things with politics and all, and it came out. And I was like, we had some knockout, drag out, talking sessions. And I was like, you know what? I'm not talking to you tomorrow. Don't you call me. It's like, I gotta sit in this. But if you don't have those roots in love, like, even when you have these disagreements and you begin to see the real person emerging beyond the infatuation and beyond your attraction to them, this is how we are splitting up. This is how people are getting married to prematurely. And then in 6 months, they're ready to call it quits. They're ready to get a divorce. They're ready to speak. People are, announcing their engagements and their relationships so quickly. Yeah. And then when life begins to hit, then you have changed your status on Facebook. You have removed all the pictures.
You're real quiet about it too.
The rest of us are looking like,
yeah.
Now where he at? Where's she at?
Put those pictures down, didn't you?
So I wanted to take my time, and honestly, the both of us did. We took our time with even our dating. We weren't quick to get engaged very soon. He was concerned about the maturity of his church. He was a single pastor. He had never been married. They had never been used to, him having, a wife.
And that would tear church up. A pastor getting married can tear a church up. I don't know why. I want to study the psychology behind it.
Girl, do it.
Because it blows my mind. And I didn't know he was already a pastor upon you guys getting married. Okay, so let me shift a little bit. I had other questions, but let me ask you. How did Bishop approach you? And the reason why I'm asking, or you might have hit him up, I don't know. The reason why I'm asking is because, we are in a social media era, and things are a bit different. It can feel, and it's nothing wrong with a pastor wanting to date.
Yeah.
But it can feel off-putting in the way in which they approach women. So how did he approach you, and what made you be like, well, I know you're a pastor and I'm gonna give you a chance anyway?
So, when he was single, and my husband has been pastoring since he started preaching when he was 4. When he was 4 years old. He started his ministry in the backyard of one of his neighbor's house.
Love that.
And that was like when he was 10. He has these golden numbers, and I try to follow his timeline as best as I can. He was like 9 or 10 when he launched the ministry in his neighbor's backyard, and then from the backyard he moved the ministry into his parents' basement. And I think he was like 12. Then he, the Lord opened the door for him to be a part of the Amen show, where he was.
Yes, we know Reverend Johnny is her husband, guys.
So him and his mom were in Los Angeles filming that. And I think he was like 12 or 13. And then he came back to Chicago and he was still pastoring. So this has been his life. Like, this is all that he's known. And so when we began, prior to us dating, we were at a service for another pastor who was being ordained. And so my mom and dad went to support the pastor, who was, very well known, would come to my parents' ministry and, preach, prophesy. And I, used to be like a tag along sometimes with them. So they would go to these services and I would be like, I ain't got to work tonight, so I'll go with you,
You were the me.
be the armor bearer or whatever it is. And at that particular service, Pastor Hudson was there. He was the MC. Now, he has come to my parents' church. He has ministered for youth conferences. And I'm talking about years, like where I was a little girl. So it wasn't nobody thinking like he would be a husband. I mean, we were talking about, we were children. He was a teenager, coming to preach for the youth conference. Nobody was sitting there fantasizing anything other than he's a preacher. He's coming to minister. And so when we were at that service, he was the MC. After the service was over, you know how we have it in the African-American culture of church, everybody's in the back office, there's refreshments, fellowshipping and everything. I was in the back office with my mom and dad. They were talking and fellowshipping with a lot of the pastors that were there. And he came over, he was talking to my mom and dad because they knew him. He's been to their church, and it's like, my parents meet no strangers. So everybody was just talking, to have a good time. We then began to walk out to the car, and it was getting pretty late. So my mom and myself, we got in the car. My dad was still talking to him outside of the car. And before we pulled off, this man puts his arm through the passenger seat where my mother was sitting and says, "Hey, Andria, here's my number. Can you give me a call sometimes?" And I'm sitting in the back seat like, and in my mind, like, do I reach for the number? Because his hand is right in front of my mama's face. So do I actually go and reach for the number? Yeah. And then when I reach for the number, what do I do? What do I say? All of this stuff. So I proceed to reach for the business card that he had his number on. And, I was like, okay, thanks.
Thanks, it's hilarious.
Thanks. And I kid you not, my mom, my dad, and myself, we literally drove home in silence. Like, do we say, what do I say? The next morning,
Mhm.
I'm getting ready to go to my job. The whole house knows. Whole house knows.
Of course.
Whole house knows. Siblings, everybody. Pastor Hudson gave you his phone number. When you go call him. I'm like, I don't know. I
Oh
don't.
my
My
God.
mother, well, you have to call him. I mean, and I was like,
Can we pause right here? Let me just, the Bessies don't know your mom, but let me tell y'all, her name is Dr. Linda Stennis. Okay. I might do a story time one day on Dr. Linda. I love her. She got a hookup spirit. When I tell you, she gonna get you married. She working on me. She gonna get
listen,
you
when she puts her mind to anything, especially when it comes to relationships, there is no stopping her. So she was like, so when are you going to call him? I said, I don't know, maybe tomorrow. Why are you going to wait till tomorrow? Why don't you call him today? I said, Mom, what did I say to him? Just call him. I mean, he gave you his number. I said, Jesus. So I went to my job and everything, and I waited till my lunch break. I called him. He did not pick up. Honestly, I wasn't expecting him to pick up. He's a pastor. He's not even at home. He didn't pick up. I left him a voicemail on his phone, and he did not call me back.
Uh-oh, wait a minute, Bishop.
It was days before he called me back, and I was like, "Now wait a minute. You gave me your number,
Right.
and you not calling me back?" And I was like, I was feeling a little some kind of way. I was like,
Uh-huh.
what? So he finally did call me back several days later. He told me he was out of town preaching.
Okay.
He doesn't check his home number. He was like, I gave you my home number, but I'm going to give you my cell number. I'm not good at checking voicemails. Until this day, he is not good at checking voicemails. That has not changed. 24 years later, that
My
has not
God.
changed. And so he was like, I was out of town. I got you, but I had to call you back. When can we talk and all of that? And literally from that day forward, we built
Wow.
a friendship. We talked every day. We had our first date at the Clubhouse restaurant in Oak Brook.
Oh, good.
It's
Okay.
no longer there,
Yeah.
but that was our first date. We went out to lunch, and we had our first date there, and that was 24 years ago. 24 years.
Wow. How old were you, if you don't mind me asking, when you got married?
I was 27 when I got married, and he was 30.
Okay.
Yeah,
So if you knew then what you know now, all of him, because you know him real good now.
yeah,
And of course you would choose him again.
I
But
would.
let me ask you, would you like choose the same timeline? Because there are some people who I talk to and they say, if I would have known what I know now, I would have waited a little longer, or I would have did it faster, or whatever. Would you choose the same timeline?
I can honestly say that I would. I
Okay.
was 27 years old when I got married. I was still at home with my parents. That was just a personal choice of mine. I know
Right.
some people are ready to leave the coop, fly the coop from parents' home, get their own place. That was not my choice. I wanted to get married from my parents' home. That was just a personal choice of mine. And God is so amazing. My parents were they've never been one to just, you got to get out the house.
Yeah.
The moment you turn 18, the moment you turn 21, they're like, listen, you can stay as long as you want, as long as you got a job, as long as you're going to school, as
Hmm.
long as staying out of trouble, and serving the Lord. You can stay as long. And so they've always been very welcoming to all of our siblings regarding that. And so I believe mentally and emotionally that I was prepared at 27. I
Okay.
do believe that even though there were times earlier in my 20s when I really wanted marriage, I don't believe I was ready mentally. I don't believe I was
Mm.
ready mentally. No, especially if I would have married him in being who he was and walking into the dynamics of ministry. I don't believe I would have been ready mentally. I think God designed it that way.
Yeah.
And I truly believe it was the will of God. I truly believe I was prepared mentally. I mean, I was still like a fish out of water in certain areas and aspects. It took a while for me to get adjusted to a whole new life. I was not just becoming a wife, I was becoming a pastor's wife. I
Yeah.
was becoming a pastor's wife to a ministry that did not have a first lady. So I didn't know them. They didn't know me. They didn't know what it meant to treat a pastor's wife, and how to care for a pastor's wife. And I had never been a pastor's wife. So we were learning together. And so there were times when we were dating, when I was like, you say you love me, you say you want to be with me. So when you going to make it happen? Like, okay, we've been dating now, and a year has turned into 2 years. And 2 years is going
real talk.
Like, you got to get yourself together. And he would always tell me, he said, it's not that I'm not ready. My church is not ready.
Wow.
And I'm like, but retrospect and looking at it now versus then, I totally understand.
Absolutely.
I totally understand.
But what a shepherd's heart, though.
Yes.
Can we talk about that? Because if you're going to lead a people now, and in my mind, because I'm watching all of this as a single person, who has I done talked to a couple pastors, and watching a pastor, how he cares for his people. I want you ladies to know, because I want the church girls to know, watching him and how he shepherds his people is going to be an indicator of the leader he is with you. It is not the total indicator, but it is an indicator. So to specifically say, I'm ready, but my church is not ready, that is so many green flags. We only talk about the red ones, but that is a green flag to be observant enough to say, I still got some work to do. So that lets me know that when we are in union, you can look at me and say, you know what? I don't want to do that to her because that's too much. I don't want to go here with her because do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I think we need to take notice of that. And even some of us who are female leaders, I'm be honest, I feel like there are sometimes when pastors, whether male or female, bring too many people that they're dealing with to the church.
And you know what? Let's pause right there for just 1 minute to deal with that. I am in total agreement, because my husband never dated anyone in his church. That I've never done that, because I am not only a pastor, but I am a father. Even in his younger years, he knew that the anointing upon him was that of a spiritual father.
That's
and
right.
He said that would be spiritual incest.
That's right.
Why would I date one of my daughters? And so he was very, very clean cut and specific with that. He was very specific. We were very specific and intentional that I did not come to his ministry until I had the ring on my finger. So it was not popping in for a musical and for all night prayer service and getting comfortable with the people. We were still dating. And so they did not know about me until he asked me to marry him.
Yeah.
And it was just, we were very intentional and specific like that. My reputation was very important to me, and so was his.
Yeah.
So it was protecting his reputation as a pastor, and also protecting my reputation as a single woman in ministry, protecting the reputation of my parents. I think we've lost that. I think we've lost that privacy, and that in a world where everything is so open, everything is so revealing. Can we leave something to discretion? Can we, give your relationship time to go through some phases and stages before you publicly announce. That was just the way we did it. I am grateful to God that we made those decisions and had those things in place. It has further solidified even our marriage, because those that were a part of his ministry, and I came in as, the fiance, there was a level of respect.
Yes.
You didn't know nothing about me.
That part.
You didn't know nothing about me. So you had to respect me. I was not just a girlfriend. I was a fiance, and I wasn't a fiance that was around. You met me after he asked me to marry him. Yes. You met me when I had the engagement ring on my finger and the date was set.
Yeah.
So there was a level of respect and a level of honor And I can truly say this now, even though there were times when we were dating, I was very impatient and was like, what is his problem? There was even the time I broke up with him and said, you ain't ready and you ain't gonna waste my time. I know you're a man of God. I know you're a pastor, but like, we just not gonna just keep dating and going out and all of that. Where is this going?
Yeah.
But I appreciate the fact that he did listen to God and took the time and discern when he felt that the ministry was ready, because that actually made the transition a lot more smooth. It did.
Well, you just said a word that is a cuss word now in the church. It's honor.
Yeah.
And I this keeps coming up in these interviews where I talk about the fact that we get up in church and we lie on the mic. We say, first giving honor to God, who is the head of my life. And a lie.
It's a lie.
It is a lie. Stop saying that if you don't mean it, because in everything we do, it should give honor back to God. Now, it is nothing wrong with you being a pastor and dating. Obviously, I'm a pastor, not a senior pastor, but I'm a pastor. And honey, if I want to go out, I'm going to go out. However, what I present before the people, because I am very clear. I am not God, but I am very clear that when people look at me, they look at me as a representative thereof, because that's what I am. And so if they see me frolicking all around with everybody and their grandmama, then what does that say to them about God? So I am very careful with the things that I do and say, etc., because I know I am a representation of God. So when it comes to first giving honor to God, who's the head of my life, that means that I can't do any and everything and then be like, okay, but honor me though. No, we don't think you with 15 women here. But honor me though. No. Are you giving a representation of honor? Because if you're not representing what it means to first give honor to God, who's the head of your life, then you will reap no honor.
And you know what? Oh, this is so good, Sheridan, because when I came into, at that time, it was Prayer and Faith Outreach Ministries before the name was changed to the Powerhouse. When I came into Prayer and Faith, I did not come in saying, I'm the wife, so you got to do this.
Yes.
I came in with a spirit of humility. I came in with a spirit of peace. I came in honoring them.
Yes. That part.
Not just you got to honor me because I'm his wife. I'm honoring you because he is who he is because of you.
Yeah.
And so, and even till this day, some of the older members would say, Lady Hudson, when you came in sweet. You didn't come in, boisterous and throwing your weight around and making demands. I'll be very honest. I was scared. There was a level of anxiety because not only, granted, I was very happy that, God had fulfilled his promise and I was, marrying the man that I was in love with and all of that. But it was the other piece to it of the life-changing, portion of me now being a pastor's wife. Yes. And so there were some Sundays I was homesick. I missed my parents' church. I missed my
They don't talk about that part. That's the part I'm scared of.
I'm going to be very, very real. There were some Sundays, and it was not that the Spirit was not moving in prayer and faith. It was not that the glory of God was not there. I was homesick. So we would go home those Sundays, and he'd be on 150%, and I'd be on 25. And he looking at me like, what's wrong? And I'd be like, I'm sad. I miss my mama and daddy. I miss my church. And it was a lot. But that honor piece is so important. And I would, even admonish those of you, the single women that are maybe, dating a minister or, dating a pastor, be humble. Be humble. Honor is a two-way street.
Yes, Lord.
God loves us so much that he puts his honor on us. We're not even deserving of his honor, but he loves us so much that he will put his honor upon us. What does that honor look like? That's his favor. That's his grace. Yes. We're not deserving of those things. That's right. But he loves us so much that he will honor us. And when we say that word honor, is not just because it's a popular cliche, but it is most definitely a two-way street. I honored those people. I loved those people. I knew that there were some women in there that did not like me.
Yeah.
They did not like me because I was his wife. They did not like me because they liked him and knew that they never had a chance with him.
Okay.
You know, so listen, I got some stories, but I never treated them any differently.
Honor.
You know, my discernment is a lot more keener now, but I had some discernment then. And I knew, you know, some of them I was like, something right there, but I never showed it.
Yeah.
And I, you know, brought it before the Lord, like, you know, either they change or you replace them.
That's good.
And
That's good.
Until then, I'm going to love them. I'm going to treat them, you know, with kindness. And some left. Some individuals left. They, you know, could not handle it. And God sent, you know, 7 more in their place. 7 more people that were willing to build with us, you know, and build with, you know, the new paradigm shift. He has even said this, that when he found me and when he connected with me, there was another level of favor that God gave him.
That's Bible.
He said, I know you're my favor. There were things that I was trying to do, property I was trying to buy, growth that I was expecting in the ministry that did not come until I connected with you, until I married you. And so with that new paradigm shift came more families, came more marriages, came more leaders. And I'm grateful to God. I wouldn't change anything with our story. I would not. I have no regrets.
I love it.
I have no regrets. You know, you asked the question, was I ready? I truly believe that I was, and not a day before, not a year before. Ooh. I truly believe that God's hand has so beautifully written the pages of our marriage and our relationship, and I wouldn't change anything.
God does all things well. He really does. So you just actually walked me into our next question. We're almost done here. Just a few more questions.
Yes.
I'm going to say this as an observation. I don't know if it's a fact. Actually, I do, because you just kind of corroborated it. But from the day, Bishop, now we're talking about your husband as he became a pastor. But from the day he laid his hand on you, I'm going to insert a clip. I'm going to insert a clip. It was so awesome to me.
The Lord told me, he said, I want you to lay hands on your wife and activate her as a pastor of the powerhouse to work in ministry with you. He said, you be the bishop, she gonna be the pastor, y'all gonna be a power couple, you gonna work together in the anointing, in the Holy Ghost, in the power of God. You gon' preach it, she gon' prophesy. You gon' sing it, she gon' pray it. He said if you activate what I gave you before the foundation of the world, if you activate what I told you to do, your church is gon' change, your ministry's gon' change, the people in the house are gonna change. I need you to raise your hands this way. I'm sorry I didn't invite your mom and your daddy. Hey, I'm sorry your sisters and brothers are not here. But tonight is your elevation. Tonight is your promotion. You've been tested. You've been tried. You've been faithful. You've been consistent. God has spoke to you. God has guided you. God has directed you. And now get ready for fresh oil to flow like never before.
Oh, wow.
From the day he laid his hands on you and said, God told him to appoint you as his pastor, he said, I'm sorry your mama not here. I'm sorry your daddy not here. But anyway, as the day he laid his hands on you, I promise you, from the outside looking in, I'm not a member, but from the outside looking in, it looked like the ministry took wings. You bring something to the table. And I want to say that not just talking to you, but other pastors' wives, other pastors' fiancés, girlfriends who might be watching this, you matter. You bring something to the table. How has going from Lady Hudson to Pastor Hudson impacted the ministry and or marriage? Because a lot of these girls want to be preachers' wives. They keep saying that they don't, but they do. Okay.
Man, you are choosing violence.
It's true. They want to be. It's just like the girls that get on social media every 3 weeks and talk about the musicians. Girl, but you still talking. So you want to be a musician's wife. It's okay to say that.
Oh, Jesus, my
So
Lord.
how it's going.
I honestly, I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
Says that.
I don't disagree.
So how has going from Lady Hudson to Pastor Hudson impacted the ministry and or the marriage?
Well, yeah, that was a night to remember. I will say that I did not know that was going to happen that evening. We were in our in-year revival that we do every December. And he had just, finished preaching, and he had called me up to the front. I didn't know why he was calling me up to the front. I just, went up there. And when
hair was big too. Okay, hair was, that's how God do you. When you about to get your hands laid on you, your hair be fried down.
Hair had to be redone. Hair had to be redone. I called my hairstylist, which is First Lady Tiffany Edwards, and she said, "That's okay. That's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I will squeeze you in. I will squeeze you in the next day. We gonna make it right. We gonna make it right, lady. It's okay. It's okay." I mean, oil just dripping, everything.
Dripping.
But I honestly did not know that was going to happen. I did not know that the Lord had been dealing with him like that. There is a backstory though to that. That prior to that moment, I had been preaching a little bit more often than what I had done in the past. It was something that the Lord thrusted me into. My husband was experiencing vocal challenges that year before. Extreme vocal challenges. It was definitely a spiritual attack, but it was also God's design, where it thrusted me into a position of preaching that we didn't have no choice. It was, you got to preserve your voice. So we got to make some changes.
Yeah.
And it was doctor's appointments, and then vocal surgery, and then vocal rest where he could not talk. He could not whisper. He had to stay out of the pulpit. I mean, we went through, it was a challenge. It was a challenge. And honestly, ironically, Sheridan, this is so funny. The week of his recovery, of him having surgery, I had to preach for your mom's conference.
Wow.
Yes. And I remember discussing that with him the week before, like, babe, do you still want me to, can I still, participate in the conference? Do you want me at home and everything? And he was like, no, you need to participate. What you gonna be at home for? I can't say nothing. I ain't gonna be talking.
Just here.
And I was like, yeah, you're right. That makes sense. Okay, good. All right. So that was that week of your mom's conference was when he was, on vocal rest, and he was on vocal rest a few weeks out of the pulpit. And I had to do a lot of the preaching, a lot of the teaching on Tuesday evenings, and I had to step up. One particular Sunday, he mounted the pulpit to preach and could not get a sound out. And that was like the scariest thing. He tried, and Sheridan, he looked at me and he gave me the mic.
Wow.
Mind you, I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
He took a text and he could not even finish reading the text because his throat was so compromised. And he looked at me and he had that mic. And by faith, I got up, took the mic, and attempted to preach from his notes. And when I tell you, God came through that room.
I'm so full listening to this. Wow.
And when it was finally over, he had tears in his eyes, and he said, thank you. He said, I didn't know what to do. And I said to myself, I didn't know what to do either. I did it by faith. And so from there, we had to adjust. Yeah, we had to make it, because at that time we were doing 3 services, 8, 10, and 12. And then he had the vocal surgery. And then we made the decision that I would do one of those services every Sunday. Then that leads us to the year of 2018, when he made the announcement about what God had showed him about me becoming pastor. And that moment was so, I mean, every time I look at the clip, it not only brings tears to my eyes, but I still feel the anointing from that moment. It was totally God. It was totally unplanned, but totally God. And my life shifted. My personal life shifted from that moment. Our marriage shifted. Not to say there was anything going on in our marriage, going wrong in our marriage, but it shifted to the point where we realized that we all we got.
I love that.
It's literally us against the world.
Yeah.
Seriously, I think
Yeah.
he realized, even through what we went through with his vocal challenges, he realized that I was more than just a first lady, that I really brought some value to the table. And till this day, he'll say it was probably the best decision I ever made.
Wow.
Laying my hands on you and honoring you and putting you in that position. From that moment, the church has, tripled in size. God has caused things to happen for us property wise. And it's just, even with the growth of our Reformation, which is Pilgrim Assemblies, it's literally set a course of newness that honestly we couldn't have even done if we tried naturally. It was totally divine, totally. And also the significance of that moment was that it happened at the end of 2018, which was the year that I fought breast cancer. And the people didn't even know. They didn't even know.
Jesus.
That also is why that moment is so significant, because that year was when we were now mind you, the previous year was when he was going through with his vocal challenges. And then 2018, I get now a breast cancer diagnosis. And now we're fighting again. And we're fighting for my healing. We were fighting for his healing the year before. And now we're fighting for my healing now. And then to have the Lord seal, like, your affliction is over.
Wow.
This is over. And this is how I'm going to seal it. That was such a supernatural moment that only God gets the glory. And I'm forever grateful for what God has done and what he's doing in our lives.
It's so beautiful because I had no idea of the backstory, obviously. But it just reminds me of Zechariah and Elizabeth, right? So they partnered together to bring forth this baby who is a forerunner for Christ.
Yes.
God has to shut Zechariah up. He could not speak. Zechariah could not speak. He had to shut him up, because sometimes God will have to shut you up in order to produce the miracle through you. He shut him up. He could not say a mumbling word until the baby was birthed. And then when the baby was birthed, look at what the baby has done. Look at what John the Baptist did. So look what the Lord has done through you guys, through the having to shut him up as Zechariah. Now look around and look at the baby that is Pilgrim, the baby that is the Powerhouse Chicago. God knows what he is doing.
He does.
He does all things well. So it reminds me of the vows, because every relationship faces adversities. And from what I assess, although I have not been married before, from what I assess, you go into these marriages with these vows on faith. By faith. You don't know that stuff is true, what you're saying up there. You look pretty, you look handsome, but you don't know that is true.
And it's those vows, whoever idea that was, to even the Bible. But let me just say, they are so prophetic. They're so you can rearrange the wording. You can have your own. Some people do their own vows, and that's good too. There's nothing wrong with that. But those traditional vows, for better or for worse,
Yes.
in richer or poorer, in
Yes.
sickness and in
In
health,
health.
you will go through every stage.
Yeah.
You can revise the wording for richer or for richer. Yeah, I know. Hey, go ahead, decree, declare. But you're going to go through some lean times. Let me tell you something.
Yes.
You're going to go through in sickness and in health.
Yes.
Those vows are very much prophetic. And if you don't go through those things, how do you not know if the love that you share is really strong? Like
Yes.
if all you just have is just, where you guys are always in each other's face and it's just, oh, I can't get enough of you and all of that. I mean, like, it's good, but how do you not know how you really, your love for that person, your care for that person, if it's not tested?
Yeah.
Anything that's of value has to be tested.
That's so good. So good.
The rings that we put on, they've already been tested. They've gone through the burning stages. The diamonds have to be, first they're lumps of coal. They have to be extracted. They have to go through a cutting and a refining. They have to be tested. You don't purchase a diamond if you don't have certification and papers with it. You need to have evidence that this thing has been inspected, that it has the grading, that it has the cut, the clarity, the color. They don't even teach this anymore. They don't, back in my day, listen, we would research all of this stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they don't do that anymore. But anyway, you need to have papers.
Yeah.
Papers showing that your diamond has been tested. It has been certified.
My God.
Gone through the refining process. Anything that's of value has to be refined. It has to be tested. And so if your marriage, as beautiful as your wedding dress will be, as wonderful as the venue and the destination will be, it will go through testing.
Yeah.
And if you can stand the test, and if you can stand the process, then that really proves if you really say you a wife.
Yeah.
If you really say that you're a husband. I love the image of marriage. I do. I love the image of marriage, but I'm a little concerned, Sheridan, that we have a generation that's in love with love. They're in love with an image.
Yes.
And there will be times in your relationship where you won't be thinking about no image. You're thinking about surviving. When it was that time when my husband lost his voice and all of that, it was kicking in like we got tithes and offerings at stake. We have members.
Hello.
What's in the seats at stake? Yeah. We have a whole operation and structure that has to keep moving without this man being in the pulpit for several weeks. It was like we banding together, pastors, staff, everybody. You're not thinking about no image or love. Yeah. You rolling up your sleeves like, let's get it on.
Yeah.
We got what to do. And vice versa with what I was dealing with. It was, okay, let's put our faith to the test. Let's believe the word of God, but life still goes on. So life still goes on. I was still running a business. I was still doing coaching sessions. I was still, I didn't miss a beat at church. Life still goes on. And on top of that, still making time for one another, still making sure that we're depositing in one another's love bank. Because even though we are working for the preservation of our legacy and of our marriage, we can't forget that we have to date one another, that we have to spend time with one another. This is why marriage is for grown people and grown people only.
Say it. That's good, because he's not just your bishop, he's also your boo.
He's my boo. So on the flip side, I was, working as the helpmate, the first lady. And then at home, I'm your wife. What can I do? Mm-hmm. I made the mistake, and I'll say this and I'm done. I made the mistake during that time when he could not talk. I was really trying, Sheridan. I was trying to be, I made the mistake and took him out to a movie. A Tyler Perry comedy. I forget, the man can't be laughing. I thought it would help,
brighten the mood.
I said, babe, I am so sorry. As soon as we walked into the theater, Bishop! The man can't talk.
Wow.
He had to wear a button that said, I'm on vocal rest.
Mm-hmm.
The doctors were very adamant. You
Mhm.
cannot say a word. And I felt so bad. And so he's pointing to the button to the person that's talking to them. And they were like, oh, you can't talk. I said, I'm so sorry. I said, he's on vocal rest. When we sat in the seats, I said, babe, I'm so sorry. We can leave. We ain't got to stay. We can leave. I said, babe, I'm so sorry. I was just trying to help. I was, you just be trying to think like, brighten the mood and all of that. You can't even laugh. He was literally holding his laugh because anything that would irritate his vocal cords, it was a no-no. So, but I thought I had to throw.
I love that. It's a partnership for me. I love it. I love it. I love it. Because that is my desire when it is my turn, honey, and you got to come to the celebrate because it's gonna be a celebrate.
Oh, girl, when I tell you, I will be front and center, and I will be at the reception too. Because
absolutely, come on.
The people were not expecting for our reception to be what it was. I'll just say,
they wanted y'all to have hymns. I can't stand.
So at our reception, we had salsa dancers. Ooh. We thought it was really cool that we brought in professional salsa dancers, and then they did their routines, and then they actually engaged the audience to dance with them. And we had some overly spiritual people that had a problem with that. We did a lot of dancing at our reception because I had already told him, listen, you want the glory at the wedding? We can have the glory at the wedding. And listen, I waited on God. And all of that, we're going to have the glory. But when it comes to the reception, we get down with the get down. I love it. So I'm just letting you know now.
Yeah.
He wanted to shout at the wedding. And I had actually drew the line. I drew the line, Sheridan. I said, no.
My parents said we're going to shout at mine.
There will be no shouting at the wedding. I drew the line. And he was like, you won't let me shout? You don't understand how the Lord been good to me. I said, I do. He been good to me too. But no shouting. Now the glory didn't come in, but we didn't do no shouting. Okay. And at that reception, we danced. We danced. And I don't mean to know Jesus can work it out. We danced till times got better. Yes, we did. And we had some individuals that thought that it was too much and it was too secular. And I said, I honestly don't care.
That part.
I have waited on God. This is my moment, and you're not going to ruin it. So yeah, we had an amazing reception, and there's absolutely nothing I would have changed about the reception. We did not have gospel music at our reception.
Good.
I know some people will have a problem with that, but we did not. We did every slide that was out. We did every bus stop and everything. We did it. And we had ourselves a good time. And I just think that it should be a healthy balance. Absolutely. It should be a healthy balance. You're human. You're spiritual, but you're also very much human.
That's right.
As long as
I don't think God himself is as tightly wound as some of his people are. Some of y'all do too much. But anyway, this is my final question, the last question that I ask all my guests. Okay. What is one piece of advice that you would give to me personally about love and marriage?
Oh, wow. So what I will advise is that you are worth what you desire. You're worth what you desire. And the moment you veer from that and you begin to say that maybe I should not desire as much, or maybe I should just settle for, you then begin to lose part of yourself. You're worth what you desire. And he may not come in the perfect package. I wanted somebody that was much taller than me. Because when I don't have my heels on, I'm very, very short.
Mm-hmm.
And so even the few dudes that I had dated, they were taller. They were taller than me. God sent me somebody in a much shorter package. But when I tell you that even with the height situation, there's so much that he possesses that I desired that God fulfilled. And there were times in my single years that I said, maybe I'm wanting too much. And God would always send a prophetic word or some type of confirmation or something that I would read or see or hear to remind me that what you want, I want for you. So always remember, you're worth what you desire. What you want, God wants for you. He has absolutely no problem with it. None whatsoever. He wants that for you. He wants that for you.
I received that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
I'm
so proud of you. I love watching you evolve.
Oh, wow.
I absolutely love watching you evolve. And I am so excited about this podcast and everything that you put your mind to. You come from good stock. I've been knowing your family ever since I was a little girl, and you come from good stock. And it's your time. This is your time to shine. This is your time to rule and to have dominion in every sphere of influence. You are the total package. And so rule, girl, this your time. And you got me and everybody else that's looking at you, cheering you on. We don't talk all the time, but it's like when we do see each other, there's no time lost.
Yeah.
We are, I would love to say, very much so supporters of one another.
Absolutely.
I consider you like a little sister to me. And I love the woman that you are becoming and evolving into. And so there's no limits to what you can do and who you are and what you bring to the world. There's absolutely no limits.
Not me, Pastor Claire, on the podcast. Thank you.
And I mean that. And I mean that. I mean it.
I receive it in Jesus' name. And I'm not saying that churchy. I don't do that. I mean, seriously. Seriously. I receive it. I receive it. I appreciate you. God knows. And I hope one day I can fully convey how much that meant to me in this particular season. I literally was just telling the podcast, I done erased my roster. And
I got you. I
have erased the roster.
I totally
because
understand.
I am choosing. I had to go back and actually watch my words on your panel from the last conference.
Wow.
I had to go back every like week or so. Every couple of weeks, I'll go back and watch. Okay, we're not settling. We're not settling. Okay, we said we weren't settling. I love God uses me in a way to tell my story in front of other people, not just for them, but for me. So I can go back and say, well, you done told these people you wasn't going to settle, so you really can't settle. And so
listen, I've been there myself. Been there. Yeah. I understand.
Yeah. So I appreciate you. Thank you for always extending your platform to me. And tell the people where they can find you on social media, because they need to be following you if they're not already.
Oh, thank you. So you can follow me on Instagram at lady_Andria, Andria. I'm also on Facebook at Andria S. Hudson Enterprises. I am on TikTok. I'm not the best with TikTok. The young people are trying to help me regain my momentum with TikTok. But I am on TikTok at lady_Andria, Andria, or you can subscribe to my website at AndriaSHudson.com.
Perfect. You guys, if you're watching on YouTube, I will have all of her information in the description box below. Make sure we follow Pastor Andria and tell her you're a bestie when you get over there. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for tuning into the Good Girl Rich Life podcast. Until next time, bye.